Hey, what's happening, guys? Dan Darrow here with another Options and Play video update. Uh, One of the things that I like to focus on, and I know a lot of traders do too, are breakouts, breakdowns, consolidations, resolution of consolidations, right? And what's great about these is that um, you have really well-defined levels most of the time where you can identify a specific price point where if a stock breaks through it, that the momentum should begin to accelerate, right? A stock, say, fails at a certain level, 3, 4, 5 days in a row, maybe a few weeks in a row, maybe a couple months in a row. When it finally trades through it, you'd expect like an acceleration through that price point, right? So the reason why we focus on it is because you tend to get like these quicker moves, right? Which are great just from like a trading standpoint, right? Versus like sitting and like watching a stock like trading like a choppy range. Okay, so for like snow, right? The stock has been the stock dropped has been kind of out of play, and then obviously, I mean, you can see really well defined resistance range at 240, right? So for a while, we were focused on this 240 level as a potential tradable entrance, right? When it got up through it, looked like it was going to go, couldn't go, right? Went up through, got up through it, looked like it was going to go, couldn't go. So like you can see, like this is just like a like a real crude trend that I drew here, but you can see like how significant this 240 levels, right? So when it kept trying to go and it couldn't break and it couldn't break, then what you do is then you start to say, okay, either this is not ready to go, or I need to like move up my tradable entrance, right? Because if you tried it through 240 a couple times, it didn't work. What you do is you either lift it up, say, okay, now the relevant level is going to be, say, like 243 to 244, because then that'll be through the top of this tail, right? You can see 243, 244. Or maybe I should be looking at this as, or maybe I should be avoiding this in the near term, or maybe even thinking short, right? If it keeps hitting a level and failing, then maybe you can flip to go the opposite way, right? But in terms of like an actual like day trade, there's really like or in terms of a trade, there's a few ways you can approach it, right? So um, you could either look at it as like a day trade, right? On the day of the breakout, right? If it starts to make a move through 240, what you can do is like you can look at potentially some like short-term weekly contracts, right? And you're looking to see if it starts to take off and really extend past that level, because you might get like a really fast, quick intraday trade where you can really capitalize nicely on those very short-term weekly contracts, right? Um, Alternatively, you could also look at longer term options, right? Because if you do get a resolution of the range, oftentimes it can be multiple days and a pretty significant move, right? So when you have like a significant break of like a 2 month range, it could be 2, 3, 4 days of movement, maybe 2 weeks of movement, right? So if you didn't really want to focus on like the short term day trade, you could look at like maybe like a month out, right? And get into like a position where you're a little bit more comfortable sitting because you have more time to let the trade develop, right? So in terms of like in terms of like technicals, once it does start to go, I'd be using like levels that the chart has as like my targets, right? So if it were to get through 240, now, right, you'd say that the 100-day up around 265, high 260s is probably going to be a relevant area. Not only that, it lines up with where like the late April, early March bounce resistance was, right? So you're taking what the chart gives you and using that as like your potential targets, right? Same idea on the downside. Netflix, right? Bounced a few times at 500, right? Just drawing like a crude trend line here. Down. So Netflix bounces a few times at 500. You can see that obviously 500 is significant. Also on the upside, you can see that 515 and the 200 is significant, right? So if you're looking for like trades, I mean, you can look either short term when it finally does break 500. Maybe you look for like a quick intraday drop, or over on a longer term, if it does lose 500, I mean, like not only could it be like a sustained move, but going back a long ways, it seems to really open up the chart for like a significant move to the downside, right? So like the reason we like to focus on these consolidations as traders is because they're really great levels where you can identify that there's a specific price point where if it's above it, it could start to accelerate, or in this case in Netflix, if it's below it, it could start to accelerate. So they give you like these focus points where you can kind of design trades, or like really like target your trades very specifically to like a window, right? And You could look at like day trades, and sometimes I do both. Sometimes I have a longer term position, and then I like to day trade the breakout too, right? Make a little cash flow in the short term, and then sit on the longer term, right? And I did a video about this not too long ago. So, um, as traders, I mean, like this is definitely something that I feel like a lot of us do. Myself, like I know I do a lot. I mean, on a day to day basis, and in terms of like options, like there's multiple ways to go about it, but you should do what's most comfortable to you, like what fits your risk profile best. But me, sometimes I like doing a little bit of both, like a little bit of day trade, a little bit of swing trade, maybe sometimes both on the same stock at the same time, right? So um, if this isn't something that you normally look at, well, maybe start taking a look because there have been some really nice opportunities, a lot of these consolidation breakouts, breakdowns recently, and I feel like there's some potential there. All right. So if you like this video and you're looking for more information on trading options or swing trading options or day trading options, please follow up with the link in the description of the video for more information on options and play. Hope you have a wonderful night. Stay well, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.